Made a small change to the audio. Hopefully I still sound okay, and hopefully it improved the audio of the actual VOD itself. For those of you guys who don't know, I have some crazy electrical interference in my house for some reason, and I have not been able to fix it for like a fucking month. So I apologize, but there's something going on. There's like EMI, electromagnetic interference in my house that just fucks with my audio. It's so annoying. But we're doing our best. I'm a super aggressive Ryan and my team always yells at me. How do I fix my habits? Yell at them for not supporting you. And also don't charge into Narnia. Learn acute charges instead of like long range charges. Love the newest emotes. They're pretty sweet. Get a UPS with filtering. I'll pretend to know what that means. Okay, and now we are looking at a Platinum Tracer. Let's take a look. Okay. Platinum Tracer. Okay. I'm a pretty aggressive player, both in terms of like how I play and how I talk on comms. If I want something done, I don't have all day to explain to you, to coddle you, to hold your hand, to draw on a blackboard, to put on a 10-hour stream, to teach you why you're fucking ass and I need you to play differently. I am going to tell you what I need, and what part of that involves you and your role in it. And if you don't do it, I'm going to be pissed. That's just kind of how I play this game. So.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 1. Capture the objective.
It's not toxic. I want to win. And if you want to win, you better fucking listen.
Healing stream engaged.
I like this flank. Nice. Very nice. It's unfortunate that they had the undo button. I love that you're playing with your Winston here. Like Winston himself, especially, they're running they're running the cancerous composition of healer. They're running the Plat healer duo. When in doubt, more heals. They're running Mercy Moira, which is going to be just an absurd amount of healing. So your Winston is going to do diddly fucking squat if you don't assist him. So I love the fact that you took this flank. They were a little bit late, and then you just are attacking them with your Winston. I'm loving it, because your Winston, if he doesn't have assistance with whatever the hell he's attacking through Mercy Moira, he ain't going to do shit.
The objective is now active.
A little bit shaky on the aim. Oh no, she ate it on accident. That's so unfortunate. I really like that you're not going overly aggressive. You know, you're playing pretty conservative here. You're just shelling out the damage. You've got to have gold damage here. Like, unless your Winston has it. Did you... You press tab. Okay, yeah, you've got damage. You're getting... So, it's really hard to score eliminations against the team that they have. So, normally I would bitch about you having 1,600 damage and 1 elimination. But honestly, against their composition right now, it's kind of expected. So they have a Moira who's going to be insanely hard to kill as long as she has Fade up. They have a Mercy who's going to be protected by the Diva and the Moira healing the Mercy and her auto regen if you accidentally don't do damage to her for a single fucking second. And then they have 2 flankers, which is going to be really fucking difficult for you to attack, especially if they're getting any heals, and a Roadhog. So right now, there's not a lot that you can kill as long as they're well positioned. If the Moira uses Fade, I would try my best to hard engage and ask for assistance from the rest of my team in order to actually pull that off. You know, if the Roadhog uses Vape, I'd be looking for a Pulse Bomb onto him. But other than that, I'm just going to try and just farm their tanks for damage and Pulse Bomb things. Because short of Pulse Bombs, there's not a lot you can do. You know, you don't have any supports that actually need defense. Like if you were running this sort of composition, with like a Zenyatta or something like that, then you could play with the Zenyatta. The Zenyatta would basically keep harmony on you, and if any flankers came to kill your Zenyatta, you could duel the flankers there. Like if you didn't have any offensive options for you to flank and kill people, you could play more defensive and take the 1v1 against their Tracer with your Discord and harmony advantage. But this is like classic Platinum. This is classic Platinum because we have two primary healers, a D.Va or no, you don't have a D.Va. So both teams have a Roadhog. There's so much healing and so much tanking, and there's just it's gonna be so hard to kill fucking anything. But I think that they have the slightest advantage just because your Winston doesn't really have the ability to kill anyone, and he doesn't have the same utility. Like D.Va has more utility with the defense matrix as well as just more damage with micro missiles and the ability to headshot people. And unless you're like coordinating dives here, which it doesn't look like it's going to happen, these fights are all just going to be 12 people basically having a sausage fest on the point, and then somebody's going to press Q. Like every single one of these fights is going to be decided on just mashing on each other until somebody gets an ultimate. This is pretty silly, but let's keep watching.
Back to work.
Yeah, like, and that's a good point. So Hoon Overwatch says, I know it might be hard to kill with that comp, but this is lower elo. They make a ton of mistakes. And yes, and this is why you'd want to be basically farming their tanks here. So this comes down to a few other concepts that we'll talk about. So if the enemy team is here, so NME, enemy team is here, and our team is here, right? What we want to be on Tracer is we're not playing mini soldier, so we don't have to be playing with our team. We want to be attacking from like here or here or something like this. And the reason why we're in this location is because this is setting up a crossfire and we're staying safe. We're not hard engaging. It's not like we're walking all the way around just so that we can like attack them right on top of them. No, that's not really the point of the flank. The point of the flank is to get to a position where we can pressure them without being in any risk. So if we actually hard engage before the enemy has fucked up, then if the enemy, so if you kind of hard engage before the enemy has provided an opportunity, that's called forcing. Forcing. Writing horizontally. Oh my goodness. This is forcing. So if you attack when there's no opportunity present, you're forcing. But if you sit here at like 15 meters away or closer, if you're not in risk, you could sit like 10 meters away. I wouldn't be much closer than 10 meters. You can just farm them. And then if the Mercy is left unprotected, if the Roadhog goes on an overly aggressive flank, if if you're looking for opportunities that you can actually punish. But if you're attacking when no such opportunities are present, you're forcing. You're probably going to use all your cooldowns if you don't just straight up die, and then it's a 5v6 and your team loses. So yes, the reason why you're on a flank and setting up these crossfires is to look for the opportunities that come from the mistakes your opponents are making. So I agree, but yes, that's why you're on the crossfire, is the ability to punish mistakes and use cooldowns. Oh, no. Oh, that was close.
Game on. Time to read my
Sorry, there's a question in chat I want to talk about. I feel like playing mostly dive heroes are a bad idea in Gold Plat because the mechanics just aren't good enough to have enough damage to get kills. Would you agree? It's not that the mechanics are good enough. It's that the coordination is not good enough. Dive is used so that you can use the mobility, that use the hero's mobility to attack singular targets at a time, and usually with the assistance of Discord. But without Discord, your damage output is so low, and without focus fire, your damage output is even more abysmal. So this tends to be why people kind of get the extra healing, because the fights are lasting so long that they need more healing to keep up their weaker tanks against stronger tanks, but then their stronger tanks have stronger healers, and it's a fucking mess. So yeah, even though we're running dive comp, this is Plat, and this is where I'm talking about, individual hero competency is way more valuable than having a proper composition, because the pros play compositions because they have practice because they have specific calls and set plays and coordination, and they have all this that you do not. So trying to emulate the pros with their compositions, not useful. How do you counter such unkillable comps? Coordination. Comps don't count. Like it's not so much that like one comp. If both teams are uncoordinated, then it's going to be the person with like the higher value, the health pools, the higher damage, the higher healing. That team is going to win. But regardless of how good the composition is, coordination trumps all. So if you've been following the stream for a while, you knew that I was a part of a team that like went around to various lands and competed in the Alberta area, and on two different lands, we played 6 supports in the grand final and won those maps. So if you're coordinated, it doesn't really fucking matter what the composition is. A coordinated group of people will always beat an uncoordinated group of people. And this is why the reason why cheese comps are so very powerful in the lower ranks is because coordination doesn't exist down there, but cheese comps, just by their very nature, force teamwork of some sort. So like a Torbjorn Orisa or a Bastion, you suddenly have people, through the nature of the composition they've picked, just happening to work together. And if you're still running this dive comp that we're seeing here, where everyone's kind of like off doing their own thing, they're like in the general area, but people are attacking different things and people are just healing whoever's taking damage and whatnot, coordination beats unorganized groups. And cheese comps, just by the way they set up, accidentally force coordination between people who otherwise wouldn't coordinate. Hey, Toaster.
Attack with it.
Hey, Toaster, if they're powerful at any rank, why don't we see them in the Overwatch League?
There we go.
Worth it. You got there, Moira. And you're going to get the DMAC, aren't you? Nice. Oh, you're going to go do the cop-out answer. Overwatch League isn't ranked. Overwatch League is fake Overwatch.
And she's back in the game.
OWL should give Arsar Change My Mind. That'd be hilarious.
Show them.
So this is exactly what we were talking about. You're on the flank. You're pressuring. You're about 12, 13 meters away. Probably somewhere in there. With the height altitude, maybe 14 or so. But, if that McCree didn't even fucking notice you, which is hilarious. So this is kind of where you're looking for opportunities. You're like, if the McCree turns to look at you, you can be like, oh, and just play a little bit safe. Like you're outside of the range where he could roll, throw flash. It's not going to hit you. But if he doesn't look at you and then he gets like below half health and a healer's not paying attention, blink, blink, brrr, he's dead. So these are the opportunities we look for. If the McCree uses flash and misses, then you can hard engage on him. So being in this position where you're kind of being an asshole, but not directly being a threat, but you're forcing them to pay attention to you, because if they forget about you, or they leave you alone, or they make a mistake, whereas if they made a mistake and no one was watching, it's not a big deal. But if they make a mistake, they know you're watching, and you're there to capitalize on it. So I really like what you're doing here. That pulse bomb happened when blue team was completely dead. Even though they got a pick, it didn't matter. Well, yeah. Yes. So even if your team is dead, though, they died first. So you're going to be regrouped first. Like, it's not going to win that team fight. The reason that pulse bomb was still good was because you got a pick and then a DMEC, which means that you're going to be starting the next fight. If you regroup quick enough, their Moira's not going to be back yet, and their Diva's going to be out of a mech, which still gives you an advantage for the next fight. Hey, Jetpack Zombie. Good to see you. Nice kill. So you know that Moira doesn't have Fade, and now she does not have Orb. This is like the first time where you're actually making a mistake. So backing off because she used Orb on herself and her team was kind of like there was good, but you need to go find that Moira again and kill her because she's out of both of her cooldowns. Got the D-Mech, that's good. So Moira probably has like 3 seconds left on her cooldowns. Yeah, so the status of cooldowns is very important, and I think that you could have turned this around or clutched it if you had gone after the Moira. Also, you had a Moira literally right there. Which could have healed you if you didn't have to go to a health pack. You're gonna get flashed. Does he not have flash? What? So yeah, pretty decent. Your aim isn't bad. Your aim is definitely good enough to get to Diamond if you played like, I don't know. This is such a weird map because there's not a lot that a Tracer can do to hard carry this map unless you're significantly above your elo. But yeah, the first like major error is backing off on trying to kill that Moira after she was out of cooldowns. Moira was getting healed by Mercy. She dropped a healing orb. I didn't think the Mercy was there. With the enemy cap nearly 90%, how important is position at that time? Positioning? What do you mean by positioning? Which map is best for Tracer? Fucking all of them. But on more serious note. Ilios Ruins, Nepal Shrine are both really good for Tracer. Nice kill.
The objective is mine. My ultimate is almost ready. Ultimate is charged.
So yeah, here's an opportunity where a Pulse Bomb is really valuable on Tracer. If you do have a Pulse Bomb and you get a pick, like as a team is engaging, then it should be a free fight because you've made it 5-on-6. So what I would like to see you doing here is as soon as you get your Pulse Bomb, I'd be liking you to use it, either drop it on a tank and then try and burst them down with the help of your team, or get a kill with a squishy, because it's not just killing one person, it's killing the first person in a team fight, which turns it into 6v5 and gives your team the significant advantage. So, because if you kill one person at the start of a fight with your Pulse Bomb and then your team wins it, first of all, you'll probably have Pulse Bomb at least halfway, 3/4 of the way charged by the end of the cleanup. And on top of that, the rest of your team would have gained ultimate charge as well from cleaning up the dead people. When viewing pros, they never reload. What's up with that? You mean Tracers? So Tracers are a lot more common to... Like, reloading is 1.5 seconds on most heroes. So if you're in a Tracer, if you're playing Tracer, it's very common for them to like use half a clip and then blink somewhere else, or use half a clip, and half a clip is still valuable. It depends on the status of their resources and whatnot. Would you recommend Zarya or Roadhog as an off tank for someone who plays a lot of main tank? Probably Diva. Diva's way better. But if you wanted to actually learn how to off tank, Zarya. But Zarya's a lot weaker. That's unfortunate.
Thanks, Doc.
So there's not a lot to talk about in the actual cleanup, but if you are going to be going for a pulse into a graviton or something like that, you want to be coming in from the side, not the front. Like if they have a Reinhardt, they're going to counter shatter, they're going to do something. But yeah, so if you are going to be pulsing into a grav, you want to be on a flank just so they're not looking at you when you come to try and actually stick the pulse bomb into the grav. Especially like even if they have a diva, they're going to be defense matrixing from the front. They're going to put all their resources into protecting themselves from the graviton from the people who are in the front. So if you are going to be pulsing a grav like that, you want to be coming in from the side or the back, or like double blank through them and then pulse from the back. But don't try and just like walk up to a graviton and stick them from the front. You will die. Your possible bomb will get eaten. Something will happen. What is Toaster triggered about? I don't think his Tracer ever kills that Moira, by the way. Yeah. Like Moira is normally a character who's pretty decent on flankers, but yeah, like that's the biggest thing that you could do as Tracer here is getting their Moira, like pressuring her or being on an opportunity. Like as soon as she uses flanks or as soon as she uses fade, she's definitely your job. I find Nimbani not as good. I find Nimbani not as good for Tracer on attack because you don't get the backline unnoticed. What do you think? Well, Nimbani also has a lot of high ground, and if Tracer's on the lower ground, she can't position herself to the high ground nearly as easily.
Back to work.
Okay, we'll see if the comp switches for the next map. How's the coaching for Tainted Minds going?
Lost.
It's going.
Hi.
It's a neat experience.
Score.
After she used Fade Orb, she was following her own real orb, had her own diva looking at the Tracer, had a Roadhog around, and would be draining off of Tracer. Meanwhile, Tracer would only have one blink and no recall. You don't go after Moira. I'm not saying like hard engage on her after recall, but I'd still want to be pursuing her, like flanking around, because she has no cooldowns and she doesn't has them. She won't have like orb in particular for 8 seconds. So you have that window where you can keep the pressure up onto her. So she used both of her resources. You have an 8-second window. I'm not saying that you go and try and finish her right off there, but you can pursue. You can go on the flank and follow her, because if you take her out when both of the tanks down, then it just becomes an opportunity of bursting the tanks down. So we can argue it, but I'm not going to go back to look over it. But I still think that Moira, with both of her cooldowns used, should be a priority for Tracer.
0-1.
Give it your. I'm back in the fight.
5, 4.
Any comp switches? Oh, well, yeah, we got a Junkrat instead of a Roadhog. So now our Moira is less useful. But, so here, when you've got the Junkrat, the only real difference this is going to make is that, like, you're going to want to be playing closer to the Junkrat because he's a lot more fragile than the Roadhog that you did have. So you definitely can't be in the flank as much as possible, and I would try and supplement the damage that the Junkrat is going to be putting out by trying to burn tanks a little bit more, but this is just a silly comp at this point.
3, 2, 1. Round 2. Capture the objective.
I like this flank. Somebody got slept.
I could use some healing.
The objective is now our enemy's return.
Oh wow, he actually got the kill onto your Junkrat there. Your aim's a little shaky, but honestly it's still not that bad. It's too bad the Genji got out. Well, he not only got out, he killed you. Wow, that Genji's not bad. Like, they have such high healing with their... And now they've even got a, like a McCree to deal with you. the best you can try and do is just like, the best thing that you can do in this situation when they have such, like, they're playing together, they've got really high healing, and their tanks aren't going to allow you to get close without taking too much damage. Like, it's not like their tanks are going to insta-kill you, but they've got a lot of things that are going to prevent you, especially with your level of mechanics, of getting much value solo. So you are going to have to be going primarily for the same thing you are doing, which is the right decision, I think, being on these flanks, pressuring tanks, shelling a large amount of damage, and trying to find opportunities for your pulse bomb or people who are separated to actually finish them off. The Genji outplayed you. That's fine, but that doesn't mean that what you did there was wrong. Wearing tiny, tidy whiteys confirmed? I don't even know what you're talking about, but sure. He could have used melee to kill that Genji. We could go back. We could watch that Genji engagement again if you'd like. Was it this? No, I think it was earlier. Let's watch this Genji engagement again. The Genji is here. He's used Reflect, and you're shooting into his back, which is good. He dashes up. You go to shoot him. He dashes at really low health. And he gets the mini. So that's where shit went real bad, is that he actually picked up the mini because your Junkrat didn't take it. So now he's back up to like 125 health. So you're even. And then you chase. You don't quite kill him. So that would have been your opportunity there, was to... You had 2 clips to kill him there, and you didn't kill him between 2 clips, so you had basically less than 25% accuracy or so. So at here, pursuing, when he's going to get the Mega, when you're going to use 1 blink to chase, you've got 1, but he's about to pick up the Mega. So unless you were to... Like, you're risking basically that you're going to get him before he gets that Mega, because if he gets the Mega, you're going to be low on resources, and he's going to be able to... He's probably at the time where his are coming back up. And then you turn around, walk in a straight line, he lands the right-click melee and kills you. So you played this right. The only thing that would have made this better would have been to just have better aim and maybe combo melees into your actual, at the end of your clip to get that guaranteed 30 damage. But in terms of thinking and positioning, honestly, not that bad. So it didn't have to be melee. It could also just be aiming better. But either way, it's definitely in the mechanics category of what you need to improve on. At some point, that is the answer. As much as people meme about, just click on the heads, lol, forehead, at some point, that is the answer. No matter how smart you are, if you can't fucking aim at people, you're not going to win games. So... meme all you want, but at some point, aim better is absolutely the answer. And then with Tracer, for example, if we're looking top down and we see, let's look at the example of, somebody traversing really close to the Tracer. So this is 1 meter away, 1 meter away from the person, and they're just transitioning across. The actual amount of the speed at which that target moves on Tracer's screen is quite significant. Whereas if we're sitting in Tracer's fall-off range, where if instead of this, we're having that same character transition across Tracer's screen, but now instead of at 1 meter away, Tracer is, let's say, 9 meters away or something like that. The character themselves moves physically across Tracer's computer monitor slower, which is easier to track. So positioning can assist with aiming. This is something that a lot of Tracers kind of make the mistake, is that the difficulty in tracking a target actually increases with the inverse square of the distance. So if you're really close, it's not like a linear increase in difficulty. It's a square increase because of the radial velocity, not radial, angular velocity. So kind of being in the right position where you can have the spread, you're still hitting the target, but you're not into your fall off. So, if you're too far away, tracking becomes really easy, but spread and fall off reduce your damage. So if we're looking at a damage over distance, if we're looking at a chart of people like Tracer with damage over distance, okay, theoretical, Tracer has no fall off until 10 meters, and then she has a fall off until a certain range, and then after that she does a minimum amount of damage. And then past max fall off to basically infinity, she has this minimum of damage. This is Tracer and almost all characters' damage curve in this game, but this is theoretical. Theoretical. This is theoretical damage. This is not real damage. When we have to include spread, fall off, and your actual ability to aim, the curve becomes basically at point blank. It's going to be insanely difficult to actually track any target that's in motion. But then as we come up to the fall off range, we're going to be pretty much at a maximum, at which point we're going to drop back down. So this is min fall off. Min fall off, or the distance at where fall off actually starts. So if you can constantly, a Tracer for example, as long as at 10 meters, the target is not smaller than your maximum spread, it is most effective based on your accuracy and your physical ability to aim to sit at 10 meters. And Tracer players, really shitty Tracer players, like to try and shoot things from like 1 to 3 meters away, where accuracy makes their overall damage output shitty, really shitty. So either you need to aim better to increase this number to here, or you need to engage at a different range where it becomes easier to track, but spread and fall off aren't taken into consideration. So, math. So, 30 meters. So yeah, this is 30. Thanks. Is Jayne font a thing? Cursive. Caps. Yeah, so this is a really long to say that just aim better, as much as lol, just click on their heads, lol, forehead is a meme. At some point, that is actually the answer, okay? At some point, you do actually have to physically aim better, and that requires practice and knowledge of your character and their fall-off ranges and their aiming styles. Valiant effort. No, Tracer fall off is not 20 meters, it is 10.
Back in the fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, my latest creation!
I shouldn't afford. He's gonna get rezzed up anyway. Such is the life. Nice. Got him again. There, Moira used Fade. Okay, so this happened again. Like, even if Toaster... I'm just gonna fucking trigger Toaster again, apparently. Like, Moira using Fade is what you're actually looking for. And this is something... This isn't quite Goldfish Syndrome, where you're just shooting anything that you actually see in sight. But when Moira uses Fade, Moira's Fade is an escape. So it's how she escapes from danger. But nothing stops you from actually staying on the Moira and keeping attacking her now that she doesn't have an escape or ability to actually, run away from you. So this is the third time now that you've forced the Moira to use Fade, and then you've just fucked off and done something else. Okay? So Toaster's probably just going to come in here and just have a shit fit. But Moira using Fade, that's your opportunity. She's like, you need to pursue targets that have used escapes. This is what I'm talking about. It's going back to universal callouts, right? If a Roadhog uses Hook, an Orisa uses Fortify, like Roadhog's Hook or Vape, they all change how these characters play. Like, if a Genji uses Dash, he becomes a valid dive target. If a Winston dives in on you aggressively and you're playing like a counter dive comp, he becomes a valid dive target. The things that you prioritize to actually kill depend on the status of their cooldowns. And just because they used a cooldown to run away, if you have the ability to pursue that target after they've used the cooldown, you need to actually do so. Doing this sort of stuff is trash damage. So you got that Moira to 100 health, and she's still at 100 health. The Mercy is either dead or not healing her or something like that, and she needs to die. The thing that keeps her alive has been used because you were attempting to kill her, and you're like, oh, damn, I guess she's completely invincible. I'm not going to be able to kill her anymore. So, fuck you, Toaster. Kill the Moira. He has recall on left control. Is it better than E? Completely personal preference.
Now, where were we? Activating self-destruct sequence.
And just a note about how to actually retreat. So if you're retreating on Tracer, people generally don't know this, but does anybody know why movement speed is 5.5 meters per second? It's 5.5 meters per second. For every character except for Tracer and Genji. And Tracer and Genji move at 6.0 meters per second. And this is forward movement speed, but a lot of people don't know this, but you actually move 9% slower when you're moving backwards. So there is actually the slightest of reduction in movement speeds, that if you're moving forward, everyone except for Genji and Tracer move at 5.5 meters per second, but Genji and Tracer move at 6.0 meters per second. So if you're moving backwards, then those numbers become 5.0 and 5.5. So Genji and Tracer move the same speed backwards that everyone else moves forwards. But if Genji and Tracer are walking forwards, they move faster than somebody else moving forwards and way faster than somebody moving backwards. So backwards, it's 5 and 5.5. And then forwards, it's 5.5 and 6 for Genji and Tracer versus all else. So what this actually means is that you have to decide whether you're going to be doing a fighting retreat or basically advancing in the opposite direction. So if you're being pursued by somebody, you don't want to be able to like let them pursue you for free, especially if like I don't know, a Genji or something is chasing after me. I will, instead of kind of looking away from him and running away, I will face him and back up. But if, for example, there's an Orisa behind a shield, shooting back isn't going to do anything for me, so I will turn around and run away. And the other thing is that turning around, even if I kind of like juke left and right a little bit, I'm still going to be retreating faster than if I did a fighting retreat with my back to the retreat and I'm shooting back at somebody. So just as Tracer and Genji especially, on the other characters it matters as well, but less so, since they're not as mobile. Just on Genji and Tracer, you have to be aware that you do move faster looking away from the target, and you can be using that to retreat faster, but your movement speed backwards is still the same as their advancing speed, so you can do a fighting retreat if necessary. And honestly, fighting retreats, the reason I bring this up is because there's been quite a few times where you've like retreated and looking in the direction you're retreating instead of like shooting while backing out. And I think there would be a lot more use for you to actually be doing fighting retreats on Tracer here, because there hasn't been enough reason where the extra 5 meters per or 0.5 meters per second movement speed would actually matter. What's Soldier's sprint speed? 8.3. Soldier moves at 8.3 while sprinting. Winston moves at 7.1 while ulting. 7.1 while ulting. Who else has movement speed? Yeah, I think it's 7.1 for Primal, 8.3 for Sprint. A lot of people don't realize that Winston actually does give you speed bonus in Primal. How the fuck have I been watching for 5 months and I still learn new shit every time? You're insane. Dragonblade does not gain move speed. Dragonblade does not gain move speed. That's why Lucio is such a nice counter to Dragonblade. Oh, Lucio is 30% standard extra move speed, which would make it like 7 with the Lucio speed boost, and amped it's 9.5. Yeah, I think amped speed puts everyone at 9.5 forward movement. Would you give this speed to Doomfist? Yucks. No, I don't want Doomfist to have extra speed. Okay, enough of that. Let's get back to the VOD. Dragon Blade gives you 8 meters per second? What? Am I wrong about Dragon Blade? Wow. What the fuck? How have I not known that Genji Dragon Blade had movement speed? I'm wrong, chat. I have been living my life a lie. Wow, that's a pretty major thing not to know. Yeah, it's the wiki says 8. I am wrong. 8 meters per second. Huh. I have, since I very start learning Genji, I was, like, when I started learning Genji, we were on a team, and one of the things that our then coach was talking about was Genji not having movement speed, which is why you would just amp out of the way of a Dragon Blade. Huh. I got that wrong. Cool. Today I learned. Changes a lot about how I think about Genji. Interesting. That's a very major thing for me not to know. This kind of reminds me of the time that like I played Soldier for like 3 seasons or something like that, and I didn't know that Helix Rocket actually is aimbotted the same way that his shots are. It's not like heat seeking, but it doesn't fire center during his ult. 8 meters per second. Thank you, chat. If you didn't point that out, I would to this day still be thinking that Genji didn't get his. I'll have to look through patch notes. How long has that been like that? Interesting. Pretty embarrassing, but whatever. Now I know.
Hey, stop! Hey, stop!
You would still be able to escape.
I'm on fire!
You would still be able to escape Blade with Amp. Yes.
This objective has my name written all over it. I need healing.
Yeah, because in my head, the reason why I thought that I always caught up to retreating people when I was blading as Genji is because I have 6 forward and they have 5 back. But if you have 8, then sorry, chat. I am not omniscient. I learned something today. Don't have anything else to say about that.
Time out.
This will heal you.
I'm so thrown off from having made an error. It's actually unbelievable. I do love the fact that you're using your pulse bomb on Diva. Like, so many people try and go for like the really, really high value sticks onto Mercy and whatnot, and then usually miss. But getting some value and really good value, honestly, like demeching Diva is huge. And one clip plus a pulse bomb is enough, assuming no healing, to actually demech a Diva. I'm not wrong on that one. So yeah, and Diva, especially the higher ranks, like really good Diva players are absolute terrorists. So I don't think it's ever wasted on pulse bombing a Diva. Even if you don't get the demech and it's like in a fight, it forces her to play really passive and she can't go for any kills, or she's just, the pressure on her ramps up significantly, especially if any on your team is actually coordinated with you to try and take them out. You're gonna recall right into that. Oh!
Deja vu.
Still gets 2 though.
Much better.
He missed the headshot. At this point, I'd probably be going on the point because I don't want them to flip it for free. So this is one of the really good things to hear. It's going to be so this is a pretty major error here, is that you let them flip the point for free, basically. So if you had been like, you still had your recall, it was coming up, and you were recharging blink. So instead of kind of like floating around and hovering around the health packs and whatnot, if you had been on the point, and like even if you only last like 5 or 6 more seconds, buying those percentages, especially when it's 72 to 72, would be huge here, because this is the difference. And this isn't just, it's not just 5 or 6 seconds of control point here. The real difference it'd make is the difference between 1 fight and 2 fights here. So if you get to 70%, if you get the, it's at 70% right now, which means that if you take it back, the opponent is going to have a time to recontest, right? So 72%, that means 28 seconds remaining for the opponent to actually come back and touch the point, which is more than enough. If they get wiped, even if a few of them get staggered off the point, they're going to have 28 seconds to come back and touch the point. 10-second respawns, 10 seconds walking back to the point, they've got an 8-second buffer. Perfect. That's all they need. But if you were able to just stall out the point just long enough to push this from 72 to 80, let's be generous, 80, that gives them 20 seconds. So if any of them get staggered off of the point, or even if they don't, they're going to have 10-second respawn timer off of the last person who died, assuming that they died and then you capped the point, and then they're going to have 10 seconds from when they respawn to actually contest the point. So they're going to be, like, even if they do get a final fight, it's going to be rushed. So I cannot understate the importance of you having been on that point and stalling. Even if you died, it's fine. You're a tracer. Your mobility is high enough that you can regroup in less time than the rest of your team. So you being the last one to die and dying by stalling at the point is just massive, massive value on Tracer. So, Mendo in chat? Hey Mendo, how you doing? If you want to climb in ranked as Tracer, duo with a Zen. Discord the Diva for every pulse bomb and they won't ever survive it. Really good tip. Really good tip. I mean, when Jayne started streaming, he did say it was with the intention of learning. Just means the stream is fulfilling its intended purpose. Yeah, so it's if you guys are new to the stream, the reason I originally started streaming both VOD reviews and Overwatch League analysis is because I wanted to improve my own coaching ability, understanding the game, and analysis. So unfortunately and fortunately, the stream has become very popular, and now I feel a pressure to never make a mistake. But yes, the original intention of starting streaming was as a tool for me to learn the game a little bit better. So mission accomplished. I just wish it wasn't so public and on so simple of a detail as Genji's movement speed during Dragonblade. I played against you, Mendo, the other day. You were on Nanachi, on Volskaya. I was the Tracer that spawn camped you. Love. Does Jayne do VOD reviews for console? I do indeed, yes.
Move up at my position.
My tactical visor is charging.
Is my will.
I need healing.
Move up.
There we go.
I love Mendo. There's not a lot you can do here. So, true story about Mendo. Back in Season 2 or Season 3, back when Matchmaker was absolute just complete ass. I was Diamond, like mid-Diamond, and Mendo and Surefour, I think, were queuing together. And it was the first time I'd ever run into top 500s, let alone pro players, as a fucking shitty Diamond. And I think it's that game. I think that game is actually the one that became the sub-sound. Mendo played Defense Torb on the first part of Route 66, and then on the second point, I slept dart high nooning Surefour. But yeah, so it was really weird. Matchmaker used to be really fucked in like Season 2 or 3, and you could get like top 500s playing against Diamonds and shit at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. queues. and I stream sniped Surefour and Mendo so many times at like 3 a.m. Good fun.